my psycho ex broke into my bedroom. I sat in the dark, pressed against the far wall of my bedroom, shaking uncontrollably. I could hear the sound of heavy boots crunching over broken glass in the hallway. Then a voice I once loved, a voice that used to whisper goodnight to me, screamed my name with a demonic rage. She was holding a jagged piece of glass, and I knew right then, if that bedroom door opened, I wasn't just going to get hurt. I might not survive the night. This is the true story of how my relationship turned into a horror movie, and how I survived my psycho ex. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button, because you need to hear how this ends. You won't believe it. I'm writing this with trembling hands. It's 6 a.m. The sun is just starting to come up, casting a pale grey light over my living room. I'm sitting on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at a piece of rough plywood where my large bay window used to be. The air in the house still feels cold, violating. There's a faint, dark stain on the beige carpet near the hallway entrance. The police said it was blood. Her blood. I never thought I'd be the guy posting one of these stories. I listen to them all the time while I'm working or driving. You hear them, you think, wow, that's crazy, and you move on with your safe, normal life. You never think the crazy is going to show up at your doorstep at 3 a.m. holding a weapon. Last night, my ex-girlfriend decided that a court-ordered restraining order was nothing more than a piece of paper. She broke into my house, and for about 10 agonizing minutes, I genuinely thought I was going to die in my pajamas. This is the full story of the red flags I ignored, the escalation, and the nightmare that happened last night. To understand why this happened, you need to know who Sarah was, or who I thought she was. We met about a year ago at a friend's barbecue. She was magnetic. You know that type of person who walks into a room and instantly changes the energy? That was her. She was funny, charming, and intensely focused on me. For the first 3 months, it was like living in a dream. It always is, isn't it? That's how they get you. She was perfect. She liked the same movies, laughed at my stupid jokes, and gave me tenfold the attention any other girl ever had. I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. I remember telling my best friend, I think she's the one. I wish I could go back to that moment and punch myself in the face. Around month 4, the mask didn't just slip. It started to crack. It wasn't a sudden change. It was slow, calculated. I was the classic boiled frog. The water was getting hotter by the degree, and I didn't realize I was being cooked until my skin was already burning. It started with concern. If I didn't text back within 5 minutes, my phone would blow up. Not with anger at first, but with panic. Are you okay? Why aren't you answering? Are you with someone else? Then the concern turned into accusations. If I wanted to watch a football game with my guy friends, it became a 3-hour argument about how I didn't love her anymore. She would cry, scream, and then suddenly switch to being sweet, apologizing, saying she just loved me too much. I started losing friends. It was just easier to stay home with her and to deal with the inevitable fight if I went out. I stopped seeing my family as much. She slowly isolated me, cutting off my support system one by one. The real insanity surfaced when I tried to set boundaries. She started showing up at my job unannounced, sitting in the parking lot just to check who I was walking out with. One night, I woke up at 4 a.m. to a bright light in my face. It was her. She was using my thumb to unlock my phone while I slept, scrolling through my emails from 5 years ago. 3 months ago, I finally snapped. I couldn't breathe anymore. I worked up the courage to end it. I did it at my apartment, which was a mistake. It was explosive. When I said the words, "I think we should break up," her face changed. It went blank, then pure rage. She grabbed a heavy ceramic vase from the table, one my mother had given me, and hurled it at my head. It missed me by an inch, shattering against the wall. She screamed that I would never be happy without her. She threatened to ruin my career, my reputation, my life. I had to physically usher her out of my apartment door while she kicked and clawed at me. I locked the deadbolt and slumped against the door, shaking. I thought the hard part was over. I was so incredibly naive. The breakup wasn't the end. It was the opening shot of a war. For the first week, my phone was unusable. I got over 500 texts and calls from blocked numbers. They ranged from pathetic begging, "I can't live without you," to detailed, graphic threats about what she would do to me and any new girl I dated. I blocked every number, but she used apps to generate new ones. Then the physical stalking began. I'd come home from work and find weird things. Coffee poured on my doormat, dead flowers left on my windshield. One morning I woke up to go to work and found my car sitting on its rims. All 4 tires were slashed to ribbons. And deeply carved into the paint of the hood, all the way down to the metal, was the word cheater. I wasn't even cheating when we broke up, but in her mind, leaving her was the ultimate betrayal. I called the police. They took a report, looked at the car, and gave me the standard line. "Without video proof or a witness, we can't arrest her." I felt helpless. 2 nights later, I couldn't sleep. I got up to get a glass of water and looked out my living room window. There, standing under the street lamp across the road, was Sarah. She was just standing there, staring up at my window, motionless, like a statue. That was enough. I took all the texts, the photos of my car, and the police report to the courthouse. The judge granted an emergency restraining order immediately. For the last 2 weeks, it had been quiet, eerily quiet. No calls, no drive-bys. I actually started to relax. I thought the legal system had scared her off. I thought she had finally moved on. But that peace was a lie. She wasn't moving on. She was just planning. Last night was a Tuesday. I went to bed around 11 p.m., exhausted from work. I fell into a deep sleep. At 3:14 a.m., I know the exact time because it's burned into my memory, I was jolted awake. It wasn't just a noise. It was a physical impact that shook the floorboards. It sounded like a bomb had gone off in my living room. For the first few seconds, my brain couldn't process it. I lay there in the dark, heart hammering against my ribs, trying to make sense of reality. Was it an earthquake? A car crash outside? Then I heard it. The distinct, crystalline sound of glass shards falling onto the hardwood floor. My blood ran cold. I live alone. My doors were locked. I knew instantly that someone was inside my house. The silence that followed was heavy. Then, footsteps. Heavy, deliberate boots walking over broken glass. They weren't sneaking. They were stomping. They were moving fast, heading straight down the hallway toward my bedroom. Adrenaline flooded my system. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand, my fingers fumbling in the dark. I leaped out of bed and slammed my bedroom door shut. I locked the small, flimsy privacy lock on the handle. It wasn't designed to stop an intruder, but it was the only barrier I had. I backed away from the door, retreating into the darkness of the room. Then I heard her voice.
It wasn't a normal shout. It was a guttural scream that sounded like it tore her throat apart. "I know you're in there! You can't hide from me! We belong together!" The sound of her voice in my dark hallway broke me. She sounded completely unhinged, slurring her words, screaming at the top of her lungs. I dialed 911 immediately. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. 911, what is your emergency? I whispered, terrified she would hear me. There is an intruder in my house. My ex-girlfriend. I have a restraining order. She broke a window. She's in the hallway. The operator was amazing. She tried to keep me calm. Units are already on the way, honey. Stay on the line. Do not hang up. But then, the footsteps stopped right outside my door. I saw the shadow of her feet under the doorframe. I held my breath. The whole door shuddered violently. Dust fell from the frame. "Open this door!" she shrieked. "Open it, or I'll break it down just like the window!" She threw her entire body weight against the wood. I could see the cheap wood frame around the lock starting to splinter. "Police are coming!" I yelled, trying to sound tough, but my voice cracked. "Get out!" She just laughed. A high-pitched, maniacal laugh. "I don't care. If I can't have you, no one can."
I realized then that she wasn't there to talk. She was there to hurt me. I dropped the phone on the bed, leaving the line open, and looked around desperately for a weapon. I don't own a gun. My eyes landed on the corner of my closet, an old aluminum baseball bat from my college days. I grabbed it. The cold metal felt grounding in my hands. It felt heavy, real. I stood there in the dark, gripping the bat, watching my own bedroom door buckle inwards with every hit. Bam! The wood cracked loudly. Bam! The lock was hanging by a thread. I was terrified, but beneath the fear, I felt a surge of anger. This was my home, my sanctuary, and she was destroying it. I decided right then, if that door opens, I am swinging. I am swinging for the fences. Crack! The wood around the lock finally gave way. The door flew open, banging hard against the wall. Sarah stumbled into the room. The hallway light behind her backlit her silhouette, making her look like a shadow monster. But as she stepped forward, the light hit her face. She looked like a demon. Her hair was matted and wild. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, and bloodshot. And in her right hand, she was gripping a large, jagged shard of the window glass she had just broken. It was at least 6 inches long, sharp as a knife. Blood was dripping from her hand, where she was gripping the glass too tight. Drip, drip, drip onto my carpet. She took one step toward me, raising the glass shard above her head. She didn't say a word. She just... I raised the bat, bracing myself to hit the woman I used to love. Time seemed to freeze. I watched her muscles tense to lunge at me. At that exact second, the room was flooded with blinding red and blue lights flashing through the bedroom window. Sirens wailed, cutting through the tension. We both froze. The distraction saved me. From the front of the house, I heard the heavy thud of boots running. "Police! Drop it! Show us your hands, now!" The change in her was instant. The monster evaporated. She looked at the police, then at me, and dropped the glass shard. She fell to her knees, sobbing hysterically, putting her hands in the air.
3 officers with guns drawn swarmed the small bedroom. They pushed past me, grabbed her, and cuffed her face down on the floor. As they dragged her out, she started screaming, but not at them, at me. "He invited me! He told me to come! He lured me here to attack me! Help me!" The leading officer paused. He looked at the shattered living room window. He looked at the broken bedroom doorframe. And then he looked at me, standing in my boxers, holding a baseball bat, shaking like a leaf, with terror in my eyes. He looked back at her and simply said, "Save it for the judge, lady." She was arrested for felony breaking and entering, destruction of property, assault with a deadly weapon, and violating a restraining order. Because she was already on probation for a previous incident I didn't know about, her lawyer told mine she's likely looking at actual jail time. I spent the next 4 hours giving statements and taping cardboard over my window. I haven't slept. Every small noise makes me jump. I'm having a high-end security system installed today with cameras covering every inch of this property. I wanted to share this because people joke about crazy exes. They think it's funny. It's not. It was the most terrifying night of my life. If you are in a toxic relationship, listen to me. Get out. Get out before the water boils. Get out before it turns into this. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this narration, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I post true scary stories every week. Stay safe and check your locks.